Remember this? I'm sure you do. As a kid, you must have heard this. And this tune that you heard is called Melody. Now, why is that this melody is so catchy? And so many other melodies. Imagine that you have not listened to one song, but you only remember one part of it. What is that part? Well, let me state again melody. Yes, there are other parts that add up to music, such as rhythm, dynamics, timbre, harmony, texture, form, structure, and so many others. But the most common thing that you will remember after not listening to a music for a long time is melody. In this video, we're going to understand how not only to make melody, but to make ourselves more aware about what melody is as a feature of music. It possibly can. I'm going to start by going through beginner level stuff, then to intermediate topics, and then to advanced topics so that you can get the full view and picture of melody. So let's get started. Let me define melody. Melody, to put simply, is just a tune. However, to go in depth to really understand what melody is, we can understand it by two parts: harmony and rhythm. It's not only a tune, it is formed by many things. So let's break these two parts down to see how we form melody. Harmony. Harmony is a pleasing effect that creates a sense of balance and unity. An example of harmony in real life. Imagine different animals, like here we have the elephant, giraffe, zebra, and some deers or antelopes, and plants, like we have the grass. And then we have the earth behind here and a bird flying over. All of these are different things, but they are all creating a harmonious effect. That's harmony. Another example, in arts, we use the color wheel. We can see different colors. How do you create harmony? You can create harmony through chords and intervals. First, let's understand chords. Chords are a group of notes played at the same time. Chords can be triads, which have three notes, seventh, fourth, which have four notes, seventh, which have seven notes. Chords are important as chords help in creating tension and release. Think of it as storytelling in English. This is an example of Freytag's pyramid, which is a common storytelling structure which is used to create tension. We have the rising action, which wants us to keep us hooked. So, in the case of the music, we can think of certain chords which can help us be hooked to the music. And then we want a resolution. So, the falling action. So, we want the chords to be resolved. And we want that one note in music to be finished. It's almost like someone is asking you a question and you want an immediate answer to it. You're wondering what is going to happen next. When will this be done? There are Many tools that can help you in creating tension. In an example is two tools, dynamics and syncopation. Dynamics you can use decrescendo and a crescendo. Syncopation is used because in music we as humans we like patterns, but when it breaks it creates a tension because our brain wants that predictable pattern to come back, hoping for a resolution. Going back to chords, I'm going to give you an example of a chord progression that is often used in music to create the tension and then to release it. A common chord progression that can be used is V to C. Here's how it's played. So here is V to C chord progression. As you will hear the chord progression, you will notice that there is an immediate resolution to it. The next chord progression is 1, 4, and 5. Here's how it sounds. Take a listen. That is the chords. Now, we will understand exactly what these symbols mean and why are they used. This is called a way to write the letters in a form of scale degrees, solfege, which is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and scale degree numbers, tonic, supertonic, median, subdominant, dominant, submedian, leading tone, tonic. Here, if you have noticed, they have a caret on the top. That's the reason why they use it is because it helps to make the music more easier to understand. And I believe there are many other chord progressions that are already available for you. And this is like the standard way of writing it down. So you can use those chord progressions that are already available for you and you can use them to help you in your music. Let's take an example of the C major scale to help us understand what this is. So C would be Do, D would be Re, E would be Mi, F would be Fa, G would be So, A would be La, B would be T, and we're back to C, which is Do. So I've taught you the chord progressions, and I want you to understand another important part of chords, which are intervals. Intervals can either be harmonic, which means the chord progressions that we just learned, or melodic, which is the melody. For example, like we heard the melody Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, it uses a melodic interval. There are four types of intervals: major, minor, augmented, and diminished. These are useful as they help us form different types of triads. A major interval depends on the distance between the original interval. It depends on the whole steps and half steps. A whole step is two half steps. For example, C to D is a whole step, E to F is a half step. So, here is the diagram to help you understand the different types of intervals from the original note. To explain augmented and diminished, we need to understand augmented means that the note, for example, if we're taking a C and we want to take it to a major second, we can raise that and that becomes an augmented. We raise it to a sharp. And a diminished note, when before we go to the piano, let me just go to a new slide and explain to you exactly what it is. Yes. Inversion. In music, inversion is when you take the original chord. For example, the chords are laid out as root, major third, perfect fifth. That's inversion. I'm no, sorry. That is the original chord progression. That is the original layout of a triad. This is how a triad is made. Now, if we want to invert it, we will have to move the root of this and we'll have to move it up here. Similarly, we can invert this. We can also invert this. Moving it from a root is called first inversion, and moving it from a major third is called second inversion, and similarly at the end it's third inversion. So if we're doing C, E, G, it would be E, G, C, and G, E, C as examples. That's inversion for you. And one more thing is, how do you read intervals in the piano keyboard? One thing I was confused was that yes, I understood how to read intervals here. I understood it clearly, perfectly actually. But when I was going on the piano keyboard, I did not know how to illustrate that here. So now, here's the answer. For example, if you're doing a major second, a major second is C to D, right? So, C to D on the piano keyboard is how many steps? Two half steps. C, let me change that. So, C to C sharp, and then you go here. This is the end of part 1. Initially, I was deciding to make this as a full video, but as I saw when I was recording the video was too long. So I decided to split it up. But I hope to leave you with some valuable knowledge, as I don't like to leave a lot of people hanging with questions. I know that there's parts which we haven't covered. However, in the future part, we will cover it all. We will even do the practical examples as well. So stay tuned for that. For now, here's the key takeaways you can take for this video. In this video, you can go with the idea that music is a language. You can also go with the idea that melody is not just a tune. Melody is described more. It's described by having two parts, harmony plus rhythm. And in harmony, we talked about chords as well as intervals. In future parts, we will talk about this. We also talked about a core concept which I believe is really important in music: tension and release. So this is the core ideas that will give you a brief understanding of what this really is. We will understand the rhythmic side and see how that applies to this topic. So one more thing to know. My name's Beat Boy. And in this channel, I talk about music, where I go through music theory, how to make music, talk about drums, and many more topics coming your way. I am growing, and this channel is constantly evolving. So I don't claim to know everything. I still have a lot of questions. However, I hope that doesn't stop you to take a look at my channel. Take a look at my channel and see it, as I believe there's something valuable that I can give to you guys. Currently, I am learning about who I am, and in this channel, I have splitted it up to two parts: my music content and my other topics that I talk about. So feel free to ask any questions that you have. However, I will be able to help you in music only. So, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and stay tuned for future videos.